In today's devlog of my racing game Apex Rush, we're gonna be focusing on the drift mode. I began working on a brand new drift map located on this tropical island. We've also added a new engine sound to the drift car, which gave the game a huge upgrade. And I've also continued to perfect the handling of it even more. There's a lot of things I want to show, so let's begin checking out what's new. Of course, I also want to say thank you to everyone who's wishlisted the game on Steam. If you're interested in playing Apex Rush, go and wishlist the game. I'll leave a link to it down in the description. One of the things I've worked on the most for the past couple of months is the handling. Since the start, I said that I wanted drifting to feel smooth and satisfying, easy to learn but with a skill gap to perfect, and have an arcade feel but with real simulated physics. And I feel like the handling is definitely there right now. It's honestly so smooth to drift right now, and you have great control over where to position the car on the track, but there's still one thing that annoys me, but it can be fixed. So currently, if you drift at a very steep angle, the RPMs will drop way too much, and the car just kind of loses all of its power. This is because the system that I'm building this car handling with, called Chaos Vehicle, has this built into its code, and it can't be bypassed in Unreal Engine 5.1 that I'm currently using. However, in Unreal Engine 5.3, they added this setting called Max Wheel Spin Rotation. So I did some testing with the drift car in 5.3, and here's a comparison of doing donuts at max angle in 5.1 versus this in 5.3. The new version also allows engine revving while you're in neutral gear, which isn't actually possible at all in 5.1. So obviously we'll be upgrading the project to 5.3 sometime after Christmas, which will just improve the handling even more and of course make the engine sounds way better as well. And looking back at the very first drift test that I did, it's crazy how much it has improved. I've easily spent like hundreds of hours just tweaking the handling of all cars, learning what everything does, and it's always been like my main priority to perfect the handling of not just the drift car, but the race car as well, because I feel like you can make the game look very pretty and fancy and flashy, but if the handling feels bad, then the whole experience will be bad. Speaking of making it sound good, however, in the last episode, I mentioned that a sound designer named Kayo is going to be joining the team to work on the engine sounds. And he's done an amazing job so far, so here's the new and improved engine sounds for the drift car. I just think this gave the game such a huge upgrade comparing my old engine sound, which was just temporary, to of course his new version, adding all the turbo whines, the blow off, the backfire just sounds so good. And like I mentioned, will sound even better as we upgrade to 5.3. I also built this quick tunnel here in Blender just because I wanted to see how the reverb would sound that Kayo also set up for the world. And with the backfire and the exhaust pops, I also began working on some exhaust effects. Up until now, I hadn't actually added in just any regular smoke that just came out of the exhaust, so I created this simple smoke puff cloud using Niagara particles, which turned out pretty nice. And for the backfire, I used this preset that I had from an old VFX pack, and I just customized it a bit to better match the look of the game and change the speed of it and stuff like that. Now we still need to set this up so we can link the backfire exhaust pops with the car to the VFX, but that should be fixed hopefully in the next episode. Now, Kayo is also working on the engine sounds for the Vulture, which is the main race car. So in the next video, I'll give an update on that one. And he's also going to be adding new skid sounds and tire rolling sounds for different surfaces like asphalt and grass. So yeah, that should be a very nice upgrade to have as well. So making this new world map has been a lot of fun. I knew that I wanted one of the worlds to have this sort of tropical vibe to it, kind of similar to the first map I ever made for the first demo of Apex Rush. So this is just a big drift island, which features a more technical section in the middle, and the outside track has these longer corners for higher speeds, and it also has some fun sections like this jump right here. So as always, I began making this in Gaia, just creating the landscape. I love that software to use as a base, which you can just quickly import to begin working within Unreal. Next, of course, I added the water and the landscape materials, which I've learned a lot about in the process of making this map, of how to optimize them and make them blend together better. And I knew that I wanted a jump somewhere on the map, so I sketched out the jump location and the first spawn position of the level, and then it was time to really just get started on creating the track layout. I had a somewhat idea of how I wanted it to look and play like, but it took a long time to figure out and just get it right and perfect all the corners to make it interesting. I also made sure that it's not just flat all the time, it also has some nice elevation on certain parts and going down and up and stuff. And using the landscape spline tool to create this road, I also wanted to see if it was possible to make like a little bridge section with an underpass. So it took some time to figure out, since the track deforms the landscape when you place it, so I had to create a section and basically disable that setting on specific parts of the map. But I ended up modeling some support pillars in Blender, added those in with some nice textures, and I think this section turned out pretty cool, and I might add some more stuff like this to the map, because yeah, it's not fully finalized yet. I then realized that if you're playing the map in free play mode, there should be part of the track where you can choose which section you want to drive. So I added this, I guess, roundabout that I still need to work on, but this sort of fixed that problem because you can now easily pick, yeah, which way you want to drift, basically. Now, this whole map actually takes about 5 minutes to drive all the way around if you go non-stop. So once I turn this into like a playable level with a scoring system, it's gonna be divided into sections where you do specific challenges. And if you're in the free play mode, you'll also be able to teleport to different parts of the map by just using like a quick menu or something like that. And after about 2 weeks of working on this level, I finally modeled the official track pieces for it in Blender, and I added these barriers to the side because previously I was just going without any barriers, which got a bit annoying sometimes when you kept falling off. And I also made some variations without barriers on one side and some completely without them that I'm gonna use on some parts of the map. And I also added this edge wear texture to the barriers, just so they look a bit more worn and yeah, just not a fully smooth texture. And with a new track piece added, I needed to clean up the geometry of the landscape. Since the roads deform the landscape as you build, I waited until the whole track was finished before cleaning up the edges. And this is basically where you just go in with the landscape brush, you smooth and sculpt, and it was very satisfying to see, yeah, all the edges being smoothened out and getting rid of the jagged lines everywhere. For the drift jump, I ended up moving down the spawn area, and I fixed up the landscape for the jump as well, making it more baked into the landscape. And to my surprise, the jump actually worked perfectly on the first test run from both sides. So yeah, let me know if I should add in some more of these jumps, because the drift car actually has a very nice suspension setup, so it can handle like big drops and stuff very easily. And next up, it was finally foliage time, one of my favorite things to do. So I ended up purchasing this tropical plants pack for this level, but I had to go in and optimize the materials and decrease the overall quality of them, because adding in foliage is one of the costlier things to do performance-wise, since adding thousands of polygons can just quickly add up in the level, and my goal has always been to optimize the game as much as possible, and I'm constantly looking for ways to improve frames. And as you can see here, even with all this heavy foliage, the grass, landscape materials, the nice lighting, and all of the graphic presets set to epic, I'm still averaging around 115 FPS on this level. And I have like a personal goal of always averaging over 100 FPS on all the worlds that I'll be building. Another thing I spent a lot of time on was actually the road textures, making them fit into this level, and I'm very happy with how they turned out. Also, making these decals to add some details was a lot better to do than baking it into the road textures, as it gets stretched out and uneven in corners, as you can see here, compared to when I placed them manually throughout this corner by just using decals. And the last thing that I added here was this little overpass thing for when you sort of enter the middle section of the map, which I think I can add more stuff like this to the map to just give it some more variation, along with the drift score targets that I'm putting on the corners as well. I think I mentioned those before, but it's gonna be sort of like a swinging sign that you can hit to, of course, gain points. So that is the current state of this new drift map, and of course the drift car. 7HC, who is the car modeler for the game, has also finished up the NSX that we're calling the Nexo. And I mean, just look at how sick this thing looks. He made some crazy body kits for this one, and I think he also said that this was his most detailed car he's modeled so far. And I'm very excited to add this into the game and begin working on the handling for it, which I should have set up already in the next episode. So yeah, make sure you come back if you want to see that. Now, I know that I've been pretty bad at giving updates on my Discord server about Apex Rush, so after Christmas, I'm gonna be officially launching the Apex Rush Instagram as well, which is literally just at Apex Rush, where I'm just gonna be posting some reels. I might post some stories of just some behind the scenes work and stuff like that. I think it's just a bit more accessible and easy to upload than Discord. So go give that a follow if you wanna see some more, I guess, frequent updates regarding Apex Rush. And I think that is where we'll wrap up today's devlog. I hope you all enjoyed the updates on the drift mode. Next time we'll check out the new car, of course, the new engine sounds, along with some other fun things. And if you saw something you liked in today's video, go and check out the Steam page and add a game to your wish list. It would help me out a lot as well. And with that, I'll leave you with a happy holidays. I hope you guys have a good time, and yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care.